Don't worry. I'm just taking a shoot. I won't judge.
They could probably Photoshop things out.
This is my husband, Jeff, by the way.
Nice to meet you. Grace says all kinds of good things. You got to put up with her and I don't have to, so thank you. Yep. Well, I'm glad to hear that. She's a keeper in my book too. But I'm married to her, so I kind of have to say.
He's biased.
I'm a little biased, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, she says she's worked about everywhere. I'm trying to push her at home to do it. That's actually what I'm working on right now.
Which university? And it's an online program. Takes 1 year. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Why don't you tell me these things when you come home?
Oh, yeah. Last time I talked to Mrs. Fox about it. So this is it.
Well, now you do. And now I do too. So... Oh yeah, I'm working on my special education master's degree. I actually just wrapped up my first of 3 teaching semesters with a kindergarten class at JT Ridge near Urbana. I had 18 kids in my class.
Well, it was like 10.
Yes, but it was a blended classroom. I had 4 students in my age. We had 1 student who was there for one of our students with autism as a support. But he was actually performing way above the mark. Yeah, but I'm one thing. I mean, I would, but the assistantship I'm under only has that early childhood stipulation. So right now, that's all I can do. I have to play their game. But right now, my research interests in trauma informed care. And we have a lot of overlap. She has the hands-on experience, and I've got the research to back it up. Eventually, I do want to get my PhD, and I do want to focus on trauma-informed care in not just like clinical settings, but overlap with the home setting and the educational setting. So bridging the gaps between trauma-informed care. That, in my head, that's what I want to do. It only took 29 years to decide what I wanted to do with my life. a bite of anything else, I'd be like, you know, that does look really good. And it's actually nice. I'd be like, I'm Jimmy from Human Resources. So we program assistant. Email. Hi, I'm Jimmy.
Hi, Jenny. I'm Grace.
Grace?
Grace? Yeah.
I'm Human Resources. I don't get to meet any of you in school. I just get to talk to Charles all the time. That's it. So I just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, it's nice to meet
Except for all the except for that's a 6. Yeah. Sets up the TA area. Then he sends us the applications to the others, like the social work teachers. And we send those to the schools.
I actually someone I know was on an interview.
Yes, she kept saying she knew this school was great.
Make sure to get together.
I was doing the college thing. Hey, how's it going? If you get hired, remember her picture.
$1,000. Raising now $1,000.
That's how I know.
We played together for 12 years. So we know each other why.
Get you in the class. Hey, you know that's right. That's right.
I knew he wasn't going to listen.
No, I listen. Look. That's right. This is it. Hey. Send me a message said, I'm not going to be right now, Joe. I'm like, okay, let's put it up here.
That's right. Mr. Fox told you about a new program, and I heard it. So no more of it. I'll think about it. I'm here. And I have witnesses. That's on the bottom. They're teaching I just completed my semester in the kindergarten at Monkey Ridge. I already missed my kids. Some of them will honor you. But just the dynamic. I'm like, this is the last day. Woke up, oh my gosh, it's the last day. I wrote the baby. They got candy, they got milkshake.
Put that look on this. Good baby.
I like the picture.
Do you know the Luxes? Scott and Emily Lux over there, Westlake over there? Well, anyway, they needed grandparents, so the kids adopted us. Where's the other one?
Do you want to sit?
My grandparents were like 17, 18.
I have none.
I know, see?
Every time I look up, it's boxes with her grandkids. Now I'm asking out.
Her brother was like English practice for this baseball. And her mom teaches at military. I'll take her with me. And they go home to with salad.
Fish spike.
Why aren't you in like the NFL in football game? What about like the double win beat? Well, you're not tall, but you can catch the ball really quick. everything. I'm going to work at grocery. I'm going to work at I'm going to work at grocery. I'm like, oh, okay, well, have fun. Wow, you are a braver man than I. We go to the store and I'm like, pray we make it in one piece. I don't recognize the name, but over there. Yeah. Hey. There's only 3 minutes. That'd be a super quick. It does say you all have been such a significant part of the Cunningham team, and we couldn't imagine our workplace without you. Thank you for staying with us
through the ups and downs these last few years.
You go down whenever you're ready.
I don't know ups and downs if that really captures what we've been through the last few years. We are excited to look into our future and continue to support you and your commitment to you, our staff, who show up each and every day to help us accomplish our mission. We have a number of strategic imperatives, and if you look at our strategic plan, even before COVID, we recognize that we want to do a better job of training you, supporting you, compensating you. We lost our way with the internship program, and we know we need to build those bridges back. We know we want to do a better job of allowing folks, if you want to go back to college to get your bachelor's degree or master's degree, we want to make that an easier path than it has been in the past. And so that, along with a number of recruiting initiatives that you're going to hear more about in the coming weeks, we know it's been very tough, and we recognize that. And so I'd just be remiss if I didn't acknowledge how tough the workforce crisis has been on us all, and excited to do and work with the leadership team and all the managers and leaders and you to help us recruit more staff. So back to the agenda. Tonight we celebrate all of you, your families, friends who support you. I can't think really of a vocation that requires more of a family to support your work when you come home and you have to emotionally, it's tough. And we couldn't do this work without you, our family. So I just want to say, my wife of nearly 30 years has had to hear that. I appreciate all the family members who are there to support our teams, because this, again, this is very, very tough work. As we like to say at Cunningham, hope begins here, and really, you can't say that unless we know and actually acknowledge that hope begins with all of you, our staff. So, I am very excited to introduce our keynote speaker. Jean Driscoll was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're not going to hold that away. We're not going to hold that away from her. She's so bad. She was born with spina bifida, an opening on the spine. It affected her ability to walk and included other neurological complications as well. Although there were challenges during childhood, her determination to get through the most out of life was always there. She began using a wheelchair at the age of 15. And after learning about wheelchair sports from a high school friend, she started pursuing athletic opportunities with fervor. The Milwaukee Public School Division of Recreation provided her first wheelchair sports experience. After being recruited to the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, world-renowned coaches developed her into one of the world's most successful competitors. During her career, Jean was the first 8-time winner of the Boston Marathon. She set 5 new course records as well as 5 world best times and held Boston's fastest time in the women's wheelchair division from 1990 to 2011. Wow. Her record for the 26.2-mile distance was 1 hour and 34 minutes and 22 seconds. In addition to her success in Boston, Jean also won 2 Olympic medals, 12 Paralympic medals, and still holds the world record in the 10,000-meter track event that was set during the 1996 Paralympic Games in Atlanta, Georgia. Jean remains the only 12-time champion of the Lilac Bloomsday 12K road race held in Spokane, Washington, and owned the course record in her division for over 20 years. Her success has been celebrated by many. The University of Rhode Island and Massachusetts School of Law awarded her honorary doctorate degrees in 1997 and 2002, respectively. More recently, she received an honorary doctorate from Gettysburg College in 2021. Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines provided Jean with one of its highest honors in 2003 when they named her the godmother of their Voyager-class series ship, mariner of the seas. She is also in the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Hall of Champions, and the Wheelchair Sports USA Hall of Fame. Jean retired from her successful racing career following the 2000 Paralympic Games in Sydney, Australia. For over 30 years, she has offered encouragement and motivation as a speaker to hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. Through a partnership that began in 2001 with Joni and Friends, a Christian ministry founded by Joni Eareckson Tada, Jean began working with people who have disabilities in Ghana, West Africa. In addition to motivational speaking, Jean works as the Assistant Dean for Advancement in the College of Applied Health Services at the University of Illinois. And if you don't know what advancement is, it's those folks that tell our story. Ginger and her team tell our story, and as they tell that story, people often volunteer and contribute money, which allows us to do our work. Jean joined Cunningham's advancement team, and we have a committee of community members, and Jean joined the team in 2020, and we have appreciated her expertise and commitment to our kids and families. Jean, I could go on, but I have to let you speak.
One of the leading disabilities in the U.S. One of every 1,000 babies born has spina bifida, and for some reason the spine isn't closed and it causes spinal cord damage and other neurological issues. Part of my story that isn't very public is I came from a challenged family environment, and it's why I have a passion for Cunningham and one or two other nonprofit organizations that support children in this community. I have some understanding. My story isn't quite as traumatic as some of the kids here, but I do have an appreciation for some of the challenges that they have had. There are certain people who come along in our lives who help us to be successful, and sometimes they help us bridge fast-moving water that we might not otherwise bridge. And if you think about a teacher in your lives who stands out from the others, for most of you, I bet somebody will pop up, or a Boy Scout or Girl Scout leader, or a camp counselor. I could start naming different professions, and I suspect there's at least one person who has stood out to you in your lives. I have a fire inside that I think started as the child with a disability. I'm one of 5 kids, and so I grew up being competitive. My siblings and I were very close in age. My older sister was 12 months older than me, and then I have brothers who are twins who are 18 months younger than me, and my youngest brother is 3.5 years younger than the twins. And we were constantly competing. Even when my mom came home from the grocery store, if you weren't there and you didn't have spoon in hand, you did not get any ice cream. And I remember battling spoons in order to get the ice cream. So my competitive nature is inherent. And I think that a lot of us have a fire inside that is stoked differently for all of us. And I think we have fires that are either stoked, poked, or choked. If you stoke the fire, you're putting logs and wood on the fire and the flame goes brighter. If you're poking it, you're looking for the embers and you're trying to re-engage the fire and the warmth and the glow from poking those embers and moving them around. And sometimes it gets choked. A blanket is thrown on it, doesn't have oxygen, and the fire is not going to thrive. But as we've had people come into our lives, I would like to think they have either stoked or poked your fire. And you, in turn, working with the children here at Cunningham, you are either stoking or poking those fires as well. I could tell you stories from my racing career for the next hour. I'm not going to do that. I instead am going to tell you about a couple of people who made a huge difference in my life at a time when I really needed it. The first person I'm going to tell you about was somebody named Sharon. Sharon Town. She was my camp counselor when I was at Easter Seals camp. I was an Easter Seals poster child, and I used to go to the Easter Seals camps. There were day camps and overnight camps. As Marlon mentioned, I grew up in Milwaukee. I'm a proud Cheesehead. I do cheer for the Green Bay Packers because the University of Illinois is my alma mater. When Illinois and Wisconsin are playing, I do cheer for my alma mater, Illinois. But any other time, I'm cheering for Wisconsin. Anyway, this Easter Seals summer camp was in Wisconsin Dells. It was 3 hours north of Milwaukee, and so it was quite a haul for my mom to drive me up there. My dad had a seizure disorder and didn't drive, so and a lot of the child responsibility actually fell on my mom. And so she would drive me up there. It was the best 2 weeks of my year. I loved it up there, and I always hated leaving because it was such a utopia, and it was so different than life at home. So the first time I went, I had just finished 3rd grade. I was 8 years old, and it was a 2-week-long camp. There were kids who were homesick, and I did not get it. I did not understand it. I loved being there. And one of the interesting things was when I was at home or at school, I was always the least functionally able kid. I could walk with below-the-knee braces, but my walking was awkward because of the spina bifida. The lower body strength that I had was minimal. I've never had feeling below my knees. I've never been able to move my feet or wiggle my toes. I wore leg braces below my knees, and my feet would turn out to the side, and I'd walk. I'd sway back and forth when I walked. I drugged my feet. My braces were steel, and so for weak legs, it just made for hauling extra weight that much more difficult. So I was never the first one up and down the stairs. And if we went to lunch and I was the first one in line, and I couldn't keep up with the pace of the teacher who was leading us, all the kids would walk by me and I'd end up being last anyway. It was really frustrating. And I think those experiences started that fire inside. When we were at recess, or if I tried out for a sports team, I was always the last kid picked. There was nobody else. And I know you don't have to have a disability to have that experience. I have plenty of friends who've been the last kid picked. But it never felt good because I was competitive. And I was stronger than my little brothers when they were little. There was something to be said about that. But when I was at camp, at Easter Seals camp, I was one of the most able kids. And there were some kids who had a really difficult time pushing their wheelchairs. And they would ask me to help them, and so I would push them to the dining hall for meals, or I would push them back to the cabins for our mandatory rest time, which I did not like. What kid likes that? And so Sherry Town, my camp counselor one time, was talking with another counselor, and I was within earshot, but I wasn't close to them. And Sherry made a comment along the lines of, boy, Jean is really a leader. She just gets in there and she helps these other kids. She is such a leader. And I never thought of myself as a leader. I was always the last kid. I was always falling down. My balance wasn't very good. And I got stared at, and I got teased a lot, and I was belittled. And Sherry thinks I'm a leader. Oh my gosh. That was in 1975. I'm dating myself. And I've never forgotten it. That helped me, I think, in my years as an athlete and beyond. Because I'll tell you, as an adult, I was a reluctant leader. I didn't want to be in charge, and I almost had to get pushed into leadership before I started to embrace it. So that really was poignant. The other experience I want to tell you about was when I was in 9th grade, my freshman year in high school. It was November of my freshman year. I was riding on my brand new 10-speed bike. It was a Huffy Santa Fe, for any of you who will remember, very sporty looking. And for those of you who are too young to remember, there was a time when 10-speed bikes were cutting-edge technology. I loved my 10-speed bike. It's a whole other story. But I was riding home from a babysitting job that November of my freshman year, and I took a corner too sharply. The pedal dug into the cement. I fell on my hip, and my hip dislocated. And the reason it dislocated so easily was because of the weak lower body musculature due to the spina bifida. Well, it didn't fully dislocate it. It did what doctors say subluxed. So it kind of came out of the socket, not all the way, but it was hanging there. I was laying on the ground. I still remember the sound of the wheels spinning as my bike laid on top of me, and all I could think was, I hope nobody I know sees that I have fallen one more time. And after what seemed like a couple minutes, I don't know how long it was, the burning in my hip stopped, and I was able to get back up on my bike and ride the rest of the way home. I was a half a block away from home. I rode the rest of the way home. I parked the bike in the backyard and went into the house. And for whatever reason at that time, our TV was in the basement. Our TV was always on the main floor in the living room, but for some reason the TV was in the basement. And I was downstairs watching TV when one of my friends from grade school called. I still remember, it was Sally Volmer. And as I walked to the steps to take the telephone call, I collapsed with the weight of my braces and pulled my hip out of the socket. And falling off the bike had stretched things out. The weight of the braces finished the job. And so I scooted up the steps to take the telephone call, and yes, this is still in the days where the phone was plugged into the wall. So I talked to Sally, and I scooted through the kitchen to go hang up the phone, and I couldn't stand up to hang up the phone. And so I called to my parents. My mother was a nurse, and my dad had worked as an EMT for all of one day when the ambulance in which he was riding slid on ice, slammed into a snowbank, and he hurt his back, and he could no longer work as an EMT. But he was fascinated by medicine and anatomy, and he always read my mom's medical encyclopedias. And so when I told him that I couldn't hang up the phone, he could see my hip didn't look quite right, started taking pictures. The next couple days I went to school on crutches. The doctor must not have been able to see me. But there's some things you don't forget, and that happened on November 13th. It was a Wednesday, and I went to school Thursday and Friday. The doctor saw me Saturday. I got admitted to the hospital Sunday. Monday, I had a pin put in my femur for traction, which was a horrific experience. And Tuesday was my 14th birthday. I was supposed to have this big party with all my new friends from school, and I ended up having the party in the hospital. And traction, there was a weight hanging on the end of this pulley, and it was swaying back and forth. And I was so nervous that somebody was going to walk into it and hit the pulley, and then it was going to hit the pin, and oh, I couldn't relax and I couldn't enjoy it. But over the next year, I had 5 major hip operations, and I spent the year in a body cast. I was in and out of the hospital. We had to sell our family piano. We rented a hospital bed, and when I wasn't in the hospital bed in the hospital for 2 weeks at a time, I was at home in a hospital bed. The hope that got me through that year was, maybe when all of this is done, I'll be better than before. And maybe my feet, instead of turning out to the side, will point forward, and it'll be one more way that I'm like everybody else. I just wanted to be like everybody else. I didn't want to stand out. I just wanted to fit in and be like everybody else. The nurses who took care of me during that year were phenomenal. They were like big sisters. They were young 20-somethings, fresh out of college, 22, 23, 24. After all my surgeries, I was invited to their weddings. And when I was going through all of my surgeries, my dad was a woodworker. Both my parents were farm kids, so they had a strong work ethic, and my dad could do anything. He could fix anything. And so he created this phone holder that had a nail sticking out, and it was perfect so that when the phone from the kitchen was hung up on it, it pressed the button, and I could have the phone by me and reach the phone. The challenge was having my siblings hang it back up next to me when they were done using the phone. But anyway, I would call the nurses in between my hospital visits. I wouldn't call them every day. I would only let myself call them every other day, because I didn't want to be a pain, of course. And oftentimes, they would take 5 or 10 minutes to talk to me. And it just made such a difference. It made that year tolerable. That was 1980 to 81, and I'm still in touch with 3 of those nurses all these years later. They mattered. How they interacted with me mattered. And like that camp counselor's words, it stayed with me. Seeds were planted, and it made a difference in how I saw myself. There are more stories I could tell. The coaches here at the University of Illinois who saw something in me that I didn't see. It took them 2 years to talk me into doing a marathon, and I ended up being a world record holder. It's crazy. All this to say, the words and actions that you extend to the kids here at Cunningham matter. Even if they don't give you the feedback, you may never know what you said or what you did, how it touched one of those kids. But I know from personal experience, and I know each of you know from personal experience, that sometimes when words are spoken, it goes in deep, and it's exactly what we need to heal a wound, or to stoke or poke our fire, to help us find passion and joy in life. Marlon was talking about how hard this work is. I couldn't do what you do because I wouldn't sleep at night. It would stay with me. And so, as somebody who's on the advancement committee, I admire you from afar. I thank you for the work that you do. I thank you for the sleep that you lose because of the work that you do. But I also want to encourage you that your words and actions matter, and these kids are beneficiaries of that. Thank you.
Green Book, they elaborated on the 4 quadrants of the Circle of Courage and how those ideals translate from cultural philosophy to meaningful real-life application. The Native American spirit of mastery adopts a holistic view of learning, one that applauds not just individual effort and achievement, but collaboration, knowledge and skill development for the collective good of all. It's about growth and success without arrogance, about creativity without irresponsible risk-taking, about solving problems without resorting to ethical shortcuts, about motivation and persistence while still honoring the importance of rest and reflection. It's about creating a sense of belonging and comfort, being welcomed and fitting in, even on your first day. Qualities that are personified by Shannon. The work that Shannon does exemplifies belonging. Teamwork is one of her dearest held values, whether it's rooting for her beloved Dallas Cowboys or cheering on her coworkers. She is authentic in her warm welcoming of new staff. She strives to assist them and helps pave a way for a successful start on their journey with Cunningham. She impacts the entire agency through her support of new employees in her role as the training assistant. However, one job is not enough for Shannon. Not content with just making HR a better place, she extends her influence directly to transitional living and residential by serving youth in those programs. The young people love Shannon. The youth in the TL program have shared that it is fun to talk to her, they like that she listens, and she shows she cares with her interactions. The TL team feels having Shannon working relief is a true blessing. She is candid yet compassionate, empathetic and hardworking in both of her roles, and ultimately, she impacts the entire agency through her support of new employees in the crucial process of orientation. New is never easy. It's complicated starting a new position at a new agency with new expectations. It's a time of uncertainty and vulnerability, a time when many feel lost or even remorseful about leaving their previous familiar surroundings. There is so much to learn. At times like that, we need a guide. Someone friendly, approachable, and welcoming who either knows the answer or is willing to find it. The greatest percentage of our employees know firsthand what it's like to experience Shannon's guidance towards belonging. Congratulations, Shannon, you're a Circle of Courage.
develop self-sufficiency and self-governance. This is accomplished by being given opportunities to accept responsibility and prove oneself trustworthy. From these learning experiences, young people learn to develop the ability to self-manage their actions and make good choices. They learn how their decisions influence their dynasty. Destiny.
Okay, persons with a strong sense of independence feel in control of themselves, their behavior in their lives. They have a well-developed sense of autonomy and accept responsibility for themselves and their actions. For the past 6 years, Casey Huster. Casey has worked with older youth in our Cunningham programs. Her former long-term work as a foster care case manager with a local agency has brought forth a wealth of knowledge and experience with the child welfare programs. She continues to excel with documentation, organization of crucial dates, follow-up on tasks, and consistency. She strives to be exceptional every day with her teammates and the young adults she works with, preparing them on a path towards independence. Her passion is with parenting youth, which she helps to teach the basic parenting techniques while being empathetic to the hard and stressful role as a parent. Casey is always helping young adults look at their future and how their decisions today will help them move towards independence and successful attainment of their personal goals. Casey is an inspiration to all her teammates. She is a full-time student in the MSW program at the U of I, and she balances her work, family, school, and truly being an outstanding role model for all of us.
Casey has a few difficult cases to manage. One in particular case involves a 19-year-old female that has a significant history of sexual abuse and trauma, which has resulted in high-end medical needs as well as psychiatric issues. Casey has gone above and beyond to make sure that this young lady has been supported while navigating difficult paths towards appropriate referrals, programs, and consultations. It is apparent to all that work with Casey that she knows her cases and has established strong relationships with her clients. After advocating for her client at a recent court hearing, the judge and attorneys commended Casey on her dedication and competency. Later that day, we received an email from DCFS Legal with the following: "You have been fantastic, fantastic all in class, on this hearing, amazing handling this case. This is a difficult guardian ad litem, state's attorney, and judge, and you handled it very well." Actually, it says very, very well. This confirmation reflects not only Casey's work with this young lady, but shows her consistent dedication to her clients, team, and Cunningham. Congratulations, Casey. You are a Circle of Courage Award recipient of Independence.
We all know that child welfare isn't an easy line of work at all. So something like a motto or a saying that I've been going by is that God doesn't give us what we can handle, God helps us handle what we are given. And so I look at it that way, because some people will say like, well, I don't understand why God does this to me, or I don't think like that. He helps us handle what we're giving. But I want to also say that coming to Cunningham was like one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It's so easy coming to work every day. We have amazing coworkers, and they've not only become my friends, but they're like family. And so I love you guys all. You guys are amazing. And everybody at the TL house too. I mean, amazing staff. The client they were talking about, extremely, very hard, and bless them. They got to do that 24/7 a day. So you guys are awesome. Thank you. And I also love working for an agency that supports higher education, because I'll tell you right now, TJ and I are getting ready to graduate with our masters in December, and we would have not been able to do it without Cunningham. So thank you, thank you, thank you thank you. It's been a crazy ride, and I think I remember this conversation where Angie was asking me about going to get my master's, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Then they're like, TJ's doing it, and I was like, oh yeah, and she's like, yeah, you guys can do it together, it'd be great. And I was like, yeah. And then I actually started doing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And going back to school when you're like an older adult is not very fun. But thank you to TJ for, I annoy him a lot with a lot of questions, and he's super smart, so he helps me get through a lot. I also got to thank my husband for his patience and support, because he's picked up like the mom role too, and having to like take the kids to all their appointments and practices. Yep, there's one of them right there. So thank you to my husband, because it's been difficult trying to balance 3 kids, all of their activities, working full-time in school. It's been so hard, but again, I couldn't have done it without Cunningham. It would have never happened. So definitely couldn't afford to go back to school. So thank you. Also, I just want to end with a quote from Maya Angelou that's always kind of stuck with me, and it's, I've learned that people will forget what you've said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So that's something I always go by with my clients is I want to treat them and give them everything that, like every respect that I would want to be given. So I treat them that they're my own, and I do that. So I just want to say thank you to the leadership team, thank you to my awesome boss who's supportive, and she's just amazing. Everybody should have Angie. And so thank you. I'm Kim, and I have the privilege of presenting on behalf of Nadia and I for Tiara Armstrong for generosity. So Tiara Armstrong is incredibly generous of her spirit and her time. She willingly shares her experiences in leadership meetings and group supervisions to allow others to learn and grow. This includes sharing areas where she has struggled or been vulnerable to offer support for newer clinicians and staff, helping them to keep things in perspective and know that things will improve. During residential sustained COVID-related staffing challenges, she regularly picked up shifts, whether they were early mornings, overnights, weekends, or whatever was needed. She did this both for her home unit at GGH and for others around the program to ensure that we continue to run smoothly. Most importantly, though, Tiara has done an extraordinary job as the girls group home therapist for the last several years, working through a multitude of complicated clinical scenarios. During one case, Tiara worked with a highly vulnerable young woman recovering from a history of severe sexual abuse in a family system that continued to repeat the abusive dynamics. The youth battled, the youth battled ingrained self-esteem challenges from enduring years of abuse and the continued denial of the impact of the abuse had on her person from all of the people that were close to her. Her case was also managed by a DCFS system that was paralyzed by intergenerational tensions with the family system. Time after time, Tiara sat beside the youth with patience and
She assisted her in navigating the loyalty bind she was facing and helping her to find her voice and trust her self-worth against the intense self-critical thinking patterns. Tiara helped the youth through impulses to run and engage with dangerous high-risk traffickers, at times putting her own safety at risk and on the line to stop the youth from engaging in self-destructive behaviors and to ensure she did not end up back in the life-threatening situations with the community members. At times, this included personally ensuring the youth's attempts to run were physically interrupted. At other times, this included responding to peaks in crisis late at night, early in the morning, or on weekends to ensure there were enough supports present and she could help the youth process her thoughts and feelings honestly in the moment. She did this repeatedly through high community risk periods in the COVID pandemic, no matter where the support was physically needed. At the same time, Tiara worked to identify and advocate for and ensure the implementation of the needed security structures, the staff support, and the programming for the youth. She creatively and thoughtfully prepared documents and represented case needs in court to try to help the system see the layers of the safety concerns that we're presenting, to find opportunities for intervention, and to identify ways to increase the sense of safety in the system. She did all of this with unwavering commitment to the youth's well-being, as well as continuing to provide support for the rest of the GGH girls and staff at the same time. Congratulations, Tiara, you're our Circle of Courage Award.
Jack is a night awake staff and has been working with our Cunningham youth for over 23 years. When you walk onto the unit and Jack is present, you know what to expect. And more importantly, our children know what to expect. Jack is predictable, he's steady, he's calm. Under Jack's guidance, the morning routine is consistent and organized, which is not a simple feat. For those of you who don't know, we typically have about 10 youth on our unit. Our boys also like to wake up at 5 a.m. They wake up energized, and Jack works with his coworkers and our youth on the building to create a system of support that allows our kids who are sleeping to continue to sleep, but also meets the needs of the energized youth that are awake. This may mean a quiet conversation on the million or a walk to the outside hallway to reset and refocus before returning to the unit to hopefully sleep, but more likely start their day. Jack navigates these sometimes chaotic scenarios with a calm presence and a focus on maximizing success for our clients. He advocates for programmatic and clinical interventions through the lens of his unique perspective and experience with our youth. He has mastered the balance of consistency with our children who need to remain stable, but also have the flexibility. He also has the flexibility required to help each child manage their emotions in ways that best meet their individual needs. Working on a unit with 10 preteen and early teen boys is an adventure in child development. Jack is able to navigate these expected and unexpected minefields with ease. He's comfortable teaching basic hygiene to an 11-year-old, and he's comfortable managing a behavioral crisis and everything in between. Jack navigates difficult situations with respect and dignity, ensuring that our boys feel no shame for their behaviors or their developmental needs. Jack is ever present on our milieu. He's creating a space that is safe and productive for our clients. He ensures our unit is clean and organized and running smoothly each night that he's on shift. Jack has also trained countless night-awake staff and created a supportive environment for his coworkers in which they learn not only the rhythm of the night routine, but also the importance of safety, supervision, and consistency that is a key part to the night-awake role. Jack has impacted countless lives of both youth and children and staff. We believe his long-term commitment and excellence in job performance make him an unquestionable candidate for the Circle of Courage Award, and we are proud to say congratulations, Jack. You are a Circle of Courage Award recipient.
Okay. All right, we're at the end of the program. Okay, so here's a reminder. Hey, Paul's live streaming this for us. It is on the CCH YouTube channel, so thank you, Paul. I think I'm supposed to remind you to take ice cream home with you. I'm also supposed to draw for centerpiece giveaways. All right, the centerpieces are going home with the ice cream tonight. So, one memento. Jack McKay, you're up next. You bring a baby, how am I supposed to beat that? All right, here we go. How many we go? 10. All right. Linda Fox, you're going home. Angela Lynch, you're going home with flowers. And you can re-gift these. If you want to go home with a surprise here. Shikari, you're going home. Greg, you're going home with flowers. Gloria, that's right. I don't want to give away more than what we have. Right. Okay, 5 more to go. Candace, come on. If I pull hers, then something's up. 7. Ashley. This is 8. Dustin. Justin's about to get married, so and your fiance, he's fixing dinner tonight, so you make sure you take those. It's between me and you. Why can't I keep track? Kristen Washington, you're going home. Casey, you're going home. All right, Kate, God bless you. Get some ice cream, take the flowers, have a good evening. You can stick around. Thank you, Michael. And you guys did a good job with the COVID-free thing, but next year we got to do the whole chocolate boiled, oozy thing, right? All right, thanks. Have a good night.